Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Human Podcast with Wendy.
And Brenda, hello. I know. Just have a
We
spiel.
switched seats this week.
Oh, have we been in the other way?
We've always been on the other side.
Interesting.
And I do feel like that's important because it does feel like the energy has shifted. You know, we talked a lot about that in the beginning of the month, saying that the first half was going to be a certain energy, and then the second half was going to be an entirely different energy. And though we didn't do this on purpose,
It's not conscious. We just plopped down wherever
I
we were standing.
Yeah,
And
so
everything works out perfectly, right? So
Yeah.
just honoring that shift and that change.
yeah, and just it is different now. And so even inviting you to kind of lean into that and, you know, maybe be open to what it is that we're talking about. Maybe you haven't even noticed. Does it feel differently to you? You know, is it the same old, or does it feel differently? You know, because there has been energetic shifts that have been occurring on the planet, and they're helping move us right into it. Who would have thought integrating with the energy would be so much fun?
It is and can be fun, which is why we talk so much about what it's like to be young and like a baby and like exploring and being curious and kind of keeping the energy of that as you move forward. And yet honoring that we are babies too, right? We are adults. We are aware of many different things. And so our psyche wants to kind of go in pathways that aren't really true. And I'm just going to say it like that. It's not true unless you say it's true, and you're allowed, and I would invite you to always choose this: everything is working out perfectly, all my needs are met, and everything is possible, right? The frequency of that, it feels much more abundant and in alignment with this new frequency on the planet and all around us and then within us, right? So integrating with that, I feel like is happening. And if there's any parts of your psyche that are resisting, that's really a lot of what I feel like this month's energy has been about. And I feel like your painting really highlights that in this really beautiful, beautiful way. And the painting is so powerful, almost like jarring, like, you know, it like comes at you. And this, hey, it's here, you can't avoid it now, right? Like it's just, and so it's this like really beautiful. I mean, like I love all the colors of it, you know, it's just so moving to me. And yet there's this like little discomfort still within me of like, I don't know what this is about this. Almost like this power coming at me, and that's mine, right? Like I have to show up for how I feel about power and being free in this world. And that's been a lot for me. What's come up, obviously. We've talked a lot about that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's been an interesting journey with this month's painting because, you know, at first as I was painting it, I didn't really like it. You know, it was really uncomfortable, and I didn't like it, and I don't like that feeling of like I don't like this. You know, because as I tell all my art students, it's like I want you to fall in love with each part of your painting, and I was not falling in love with it. But it, like Brenda's saying, it was mirroring my own stuff within my own heart space, you know, my own shadow self. So it's been kind of a doozy, and as you can see here in the image, you know, it is like this birthing energy. You're coming from from nothing, you know, to coming right at you. So it's like this birth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we wanted to kind of highlight, we were thinking about talking about really what this painting stands for. I know that some of you have already seen the video that I created for the painting specifically, but Brenda's insights are always interesting and always adds a lot more. So I'm interested to see what she has to say about some of these things. No pressure. She like looked at me and she's like, what?
She did not tell me that prior to starting. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah, but because a lot of this is about your heart, you know, and you can see here in the painting, you know, that you know, we are talking about like that shell shape or this portal or this opening, you know, that is definitely representative of the heart space, the heart chakra, the portal within, you know, our beings to our higher selves.
And what really stands out for me in that frequency, in that visible concrete space of that image, is the beautiful colors, right? All of the beautiful colors, and integrating that with because to me, I'm going to go to the root chakra and the sacral chakra and the power chakra. And I'm going to go into how safe am I? So to me, this painting represents really how to be in the now, how to be fully present. And I'm going to give words to it like, am I safe? Of course I am. And integrating that frequency of safety within all of your parts, and then creating. I mean, to me, more and more as I work with people in this new earth, it's about creating. What are you creating? What are you creating? What are you creating? Because you are creating, whether you're aware of it or not. Even if you're just sitting there, you are a creator. And so being mindful, being conscious, and an active participant in your life. How are you creating? What are you creating? Whether it's just something as simple as coloring, something as simple as like feeding your physical body. What are you giving? What food are you giving it? How are you walking? But then the other colors of power, are you free to be your authentic expression? Meaning, we're all goofy and silly and unique. I say weird. People, I feel like that they think I'm putting myself down, and I feel like I'm weird in the best weird kind of way. There's that one movie with that clock on the wall, the orange, the
house with the clock on the wall.
Yes, the house, and I love how they portray weird, because they're like, they're so weird. Like, isn't this just awesomeness? And you're just like,
weird, like a positive thing.
Oh my gosh, it's the coolest thing. And I want to own that. Like, that's what I mean by being weird. That's your power chakra. That's your authentic expression. Like, let's try and be a little bit more weird, not to offend or make uncomfortable, but to be authentic and genuine.
Yeah, and that's partly, what this painting is doing. It's calling you back home. It's calling you back to, in a way, to your heart space, which is your authenticity. And so what makes you feel vulnerable, really? Not vulnerable out of trauma, right? But vulnerable, like, you're connecting with your heart when you feel really open and there's a risk there, or like, almost like I don't even know if there's a risk. It's almost just like you're tapping into your emotional self and your physical self, your whole being. So there is a vulnerability there, but
I like that word though, because I feel like we've been out of balance the other way. And that's so much of like all the crosses in that painting too, like bringing back to balance. So often we like protect and we keep people or things maybe at arm's length instead of like surrendering, which I know is the swan, because you told me, and just opening yourself up to this, like, no, I'm going to take the risk to be my authentic self and be vulnerable. But I don't know, I feel like a different word, like almost just
true.
Yeah.
Like really true to yourself. Yeah.
Or just like the infant baby, like stumbling to walk, or, but just loving that, just messing around and playing, that is a part of us. That's who we are.
It is.
And talking about it, like sometimes I feel like, why are we talking about it?
Let's just go and do it. Having fun. I mean, you just have fun.
Exactly.
Like, weird.
Let's break it all down. And I feel like we do that with these nuances of like feelings and anger and pain, and we like dissect it, and it like I don't know, it takes the essence out of the thing that we're trying to talk about. Like, I don't know.
I feel like it's because we've been so out of balance, and we've been so in our heads that we have to use now the headspace to try to get us out. So we have to use logic to try to get us out of being stuck in logic.
See, like even that, I'm just like, what are we,
That's true.
Can we just sit here and like laugh for 5 minutes? Because that's like the energy. If we can just allow ourselves to authentically
go viral.
No, but it's true. You can really just feel into that, and then allow yourself to smile, or like you can feel that powerful frequency shift within you. And that's the stuff that we're talking about.
And I mean, that's the title of this painting, right? It's called Choosing. There was, it speaks for itself.
We're going to dissect that too. No,
Choosing. But it is, I feel like it does kind of reiterate that whole crossroads, coming back to that crossroads. The cross is a powerful symbol. Though in Christianity, it obviously represents Christ, but it really comes way before Christ. The symbol of the cross, it even comes before Native Americans. It says it's a very ancient symbol. And it is about the path of spirituality in general about pulling ourselves back to the center from all these different directions and pulling ourselves into the center, which I feel like is emphasizing the now.
Me too.
Native Americans talk about, you go through life and you're going to be in the South, and then you're going to be in the West, and then you're going to be in the East, and then you're going to be in the North. And that's true. It's like it embodies the experience of being a human. And there's nothing wrong with being in the West versus the East, or in the South versus the North. But eventually you want to come back home to that center piece. And Brendan, you made a good point about saying that center piece is that heart space. Didn't you say that? I think so. Yeah, you should have if you did.
Well, it's the heart space that can contain all of the nuances of your being and reconcile comfortably, kind of opposing realities or perspectives. Like, you are all of those things, right? We are, let's say, extroverted and introverted both. We have parts and nuances of both within us. The thinking self really could struggle with that and be like, wait, I'm sorry, what? It's the heart space that contains all of those, like, I want to call them spokes on the wheel, because if it's not just a cross, you can have a lot of tendrils out there. I have this role or this thing or this,
right. You can be in between the North and the East, because you're traveling. So in some ways, yeah.
Right. And I feel like we haven't really talked to this much about it yet. And yet, so I'm calling the heart a container right now, containing all of you. This is the portal. This is the portal of our being, the opening in our being that allows us to transmute, heal, expand, right?
Remember more of our light, bring more of our light into our body.
And again, I struggle with those words because it begins to explore and articulate the thing that it is. And it's that and so much more within us that we are really able to hold, right? We talk about, creating matter out of our bare hands. Like, this is possible. And the heart space is going to be part of those keys that unlock that.
For sure. And I feel like that's synonymous with love. I mean, love is inclusive. So love's not just the positive emotions or the positive attributes of anything, right? It's going to be the container of all things, right?
Right.
So it's kind of synonymous with those things. So, partly why we're moving from darkness into light, even in this painting, it's like, it's really important even that this heart center has all of these layers that you can see that are painted in it, and it's like in a cave, and there's darkness in there too. It's like you can't have the whole container and only have those light parts, right? Or
right, you must consider that there is no thing and there are all things, right?
Right, and the heart is allowing yourself to be all of those things, meaning, and I feel like that's partly why during this energy shift it's been so kind of difficult. It's been difficult for me. I don't know for you. Maybe it's been great, but for me it's been a little bit challenging because it has brought up a lot of shadow things. And that's never an easy, it could be an easy thing. We talked about that last couple episodes where Brenda's embracing. She's like, yay, shadow.
It's too easy. And yet we can choose to have that optimistic, curious, open perspective with it, right?
Right.
I'm excited to meet you. I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit excited. I'm a little bit nervous. All of that's existing all at the same time, right? That's what you're talking about.
And just, we have to, as we're expanding into our heart space and using this as a portal, we have to acknowledge those shadow aspects. We have to acknowledge if that's coming up for you, because it's just a part of you that's wanting to, breathe life into it, really. So you can expand further. Like, you can't just expand into kindness and not ever acknowledge when you might not be unkind. Right. It's like to bring kindness into those unkind spaces, you have to allow for it and look at it and kind of enter into that space, right?
Yeah.
But going back to choosing, I mean, that is the title. Right?
Yeah, if we could truly, I like to put it as like a pause button. If we could truly just slow down, I'll say often, because our energy, I feel like, is so worked up, and I'm laughing a little bit because that comes from the headspace and thinking that we should and we should and we should. And so we're kind of getting stuck, and you can feel that. of like slowing down, pushing pause on your being, and then checking in. How do I feel inside of my vessel? How does this feel? Can I feel any tension? Can I let that go? Of course you can, right? Relaxing your stomach and maybe your neck. For me, it's often up here. I'm holding stress, letting go. And then noticing all the nuances. And this is the shadow work. If you have any doubt of what your shadow work is, interact with the world around you and see what comes up, right? That's the shadow work would be my driving experience. Like the woman came up, right? And there's so many more, right? How do you feel doing this or doing that? And noticing the nuances without just noticing it. I mean, how easy is that, right? And yet, for whatever reason, we're so kind of maybe conditioned or trained to not show up for those feelings, and we think it's good or bad. Well, I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be mad. And yet that's going to be the exact thing that you're going to want to shift into.
Yeah, and just condition. I feel like that's a huge piece in our society. That's partly why we're having to spend so much time in the shadow space, because we have been conditioned and programmed to not go into those negative feelings. Like just to have them is a bad thing. Just to even have anger or sadness or whatever, all of those things, it's bad. We know, and because we want to be loved, right? We all want to be loved, and that has been conditioned in us from a cultural perspective that that's bad. We have kind of probably shut that down, and we might not even be aware of those things because we really just want to be loved. So it really is based in love that we're even hiding from these shadow parts, because we didn't know necessarily even how to process them, or when we did process them, they were shamed, and they didn't know how to process them either. So then so everyone is kind of participating in this game of denial. And so partly that's why we spend so much time on this. And,
No, we need to, because having the conversation and remembering and learning, like, it takes many different things. It's not just one moment of like, done. Hear what I'm saying, and then you got it. It's like, you're integrating with it. Right? Do you though?
Yeah, I do, man. I love myself. There we go. It's done. Can it be like that?
I mean, sure, right? I mean, I'm sure.
Miracles are possible.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm ready.
I think that's such a good conversation, though, because why doesn't it work like that? Like, let's just exploring that authentically within yourself. Like, how do you answer that? Because maybe all good things are happening, and maybe it's the discovery and the journey that is the gift, and not the.
They say that. They do say that. They say it's in the journey.
I didn't say it
that many times.
I said, but maybe you could authentically explore that within yourself, because then you'll find your way, right?
I'm just joking. I'm not. I'm partly not joking, but I feel like that's why it's so complex, because it's like there's a part of me that totally understands that, and then there's a part of me,
right, for sure,
he's calling
within all of us.
But maybe that's just my limited belief, right? She's experiencing miracles every day.
I would argue that we all are.
Dog poo.
I would argue that we all are, if we could look for it, right? Because maybe the miracle is you're stepping in the dog poop and it stopped you from, just mindlessly moving forward. It stopped you and made you be aware. I'm not sure, but if you look for miracles, you will find them. I swear.
It is about perspective. I did read the story the other day, and they were talking about it was actually horse poo, and it was a story on perspective. Like the dad brought two kids into a barn, and it smelled really bad because there was dog manure. One was just really upset about that and really wanted to get the heck out of there, right? Just like, get me out of here. It smells so bad, like horse poo. And then the other one ran in there with so much joy, and they were like, why? And it's because that meant that there was horses. And where are the horses? So, that right there, right?
Yep, pretty much,
Pretty
right?
much.
Right. How do we enter our day? How do we enter any given experience? One of the things I noticed that I've been doing lately is like greeting my day, or greeting my drive, and greeting the store that I'm going to stop into energetically prior to even getting there, like blessing everyone I'm going to encounter. I know I've brought this up a couple of times, but I'm reminded of that in this frequency. And I feel like that's my higher self or my guide saying, hey, remember, everything is different. Get ready to go where you're going. And that doesn't really sound right, because in the now, I'm aware of what I wish to accomplish and what is coming up for me. So it's creating these pathways, right? If we talk about like what we're used to, I'm used to blessing everything in my reality, whether it's my past or my future or my now. I'm blessing it all, right? And so it creates these pathways where I no longer have to take so much effort to implement that, to where my subconscious and my ego get on board with these new jobs I'm giving them with everything is good. All my needs are met. Everything is possible. I'm experiencing miracles every day, all the time, or whatever, right? So,
Right, because in a way, truly what you're doing is you're manifesting, you're creating that reality.
right.
So, and then even from a physics standpoint, you're actually getting the consciousness of all of those other, not only just sentient beings, humans, but the building,
Right.
the driveway, the
Right.
cars.
The weather, like think about
You're basically telling it, right?
I'm going to step over the dog poo. Just saying. Going to step right over it. I've already blessed it. It's there. It's a beautiful thing.
She smells it. It's not about denying that the poop doesn't exist.
Right.
Right. It's still acknowledging that
sometimes those experiences are meant. Like it's not, I
Maybe
truly
it's
do
part
not
of
feel
every day,
it's
hopefully, for your system.
yes, I hope so for all of us. Because we have to let go of that we don't need, and that's a beautiful symbol of what is, right? Of consciously, intentfully saying, I release the need for these things that my being does not need, right? We're constantly processing. We're making the joke about it, but it's really important.
It is.
I know you were making a poop
No,
joke,
I wasn't. This poop is serious business.
It really is.
It is.
You just have to poke. You have to make it about the most interesting.
Is that the only word we have for it?
What?
I mean, besides the swear word of it?
Poop?
Yeah.
Well, it's called like fecal matter, right?
Fecal matter. That's not right. Okay.
I mean, it's not right. Isn't that like the scientific term?
No, that's just wrong. Fecal matter.
I don't know then. Do not take my word for it.
This is not a science podcast. You don't know.
Oh, that's just actually scary. Okay.
So anyways.
Highlighting though the joy and the fun the curiosity we can bring to any moment, right? We just kind of went full circle, and there's more in this conversation and in the nuances of it that we need to have. I do want to talk, well, I guess we can talk about next time with the animals, because they just...
Well, I mean, we can hint on that. I mean, I do want to just show you in the painting, right? It's showing you that you are on a path, right? You are in one of these directions. So no matter what direction you're starting from, you could be in the north, and you can look up what these directions mean,
Yeah, for sure.
What north means, and east and west or whatever. But wherever you are, it is calling you to the heart space. It's calling you back to the center in some ways. So I just kind of wanted to reiterate that. That's what's happening on the planet everywhere. That's partly what this awakening or this new earth is. It's about existing within your heart space. So if you're trying to be 5D or whatever, truly 5-dimensional human beings, they're the most compassionate and most loving human beings you'll meet. So if you're 5D or whatever, right, you're going to be existing in that, in kind of that space where you would never even say, hey, I'm 5D, because that's so ridiculous. But you're going to be living in a very compassionate way. You're going to be understanding that you are all things. You are the poop and the horse, right? You are the homeless and the rich, right? You're going to be
the person that's
in
angry in front of you. You can recognize that I have angry parts within me too, and how would I want to show up for those
You're
parts
going to love
me?
them, right? And so that's really this new earth. It's having so much compassion and love. It's more of an enlightened, ascended human, with no need of, to even proclaim it truly. And I say that because they're so busy experiencing, there's not this less explaining. I'm still in the explaining phase. So.
No, I mean, I feel
There's
like
no
that's how we're
hierarchy, but
conditioned. I do agree that we're going to find our way in some. I mean, obviously, we're having a podcast where we're talking at you, which I did resist a bit because I'm like, I don't want to talk at people. You know, I had
for
those
sure.
conversations a lot. And yet, if we don't have really good conversations, which is one of my favorite things to do, seriously, it's like, let's just have a really good conversation. Let's disagree. Let's have differing perspectives. Let's bring in everything and have a really good, loving, open conversation. That to me, that's freedom. That's
Yeah.
having power, you know, if we can explore what really works for all of us and honoring the nuances and the difference in each and every one of us and how beautiful that really is, and it makes this world just such a better place because of that.
And to get there, you know, to really get to that compassionate piece where you really can see somebody else in the pain that they are, if they are being angry or attacking or whatever. I mean, the only place to get there is by moving through your own shadow and recognizing that those parts are a part of you, and loving that no matter what. Right. And that's partly what the swan and the owl even mean. I mean, briefly, just the owl helps you see in the dark.
Right.
But not, it's a snow owl, so it's winter. So winter is obviously that time of even on the reflection, exactly.
Going within, hibernating, right? Taking stock. What do I have? What do I wish to keep? What do I wish to let go of? Surrender, which to me is
Going
like the
within.
swan, you know, coming in with the swan of surrendering that. And, you know, I wonder sometimes, you know, just the good conversation about if we're surrendering to any given moment, you know, part of being able to see and hear, like, you know, it kind of needs to have the elements of that owl too, right? Within our own selves. Because if we're surrendering, we're taking responsibility for what is. You know, if I'm surrendering and letting go, I'm acknowledging that I'm angry, and I'm not trying to compete in that or fight in that or
that's a hard one. And that it really is that one's a hard one for me. You know, to really trust, because it doesn't make sense and I'm not doing anything. I mean, that's a really hard one when I'm overwhelmed with the feelings, you know?
Yeah.
Where I'm just feeling it, and I'm just angry, and then or not just angry or whatever, just uncomfortable. How it has been the last few weeks anyways. And just sitting in that energy of just being uncomfortable, like that's not always easy, you know?
Yeah. And really, maybe because of those programs, right, of saying this isn't good or this is uncomfortable, and you know, I don't know,
and just being aware of our tendencies to control that space. I mean, that's really what it's highlighted for me, because I really want to be doing things, and so I'll do things, you know, whether it's.
Do you think that we're negative though? I mean, because I don't know why, like lately in this month, like I've noticed a lot of programming of being like looking at things maybe in black and white or good or bad, and so like it's this negative,
like judgment space.
Yeah, right. But then I don't know, you know, it's just a good conversation, I guess, about that negativity. Like that is a choice. You can actually choose positivity, you know, the whole glass is half empty, half full.
Yeah. I mean, I have been noticing that too. Like it's been really highlighted this last, probably since January, but just really how we do have to make a choice. And I know that's what the painting's called, but from another perspective of not just allowing yourself to be whatever, but choosing, because it's almost habitual to be negative and judgmental and critical. And I feel like that's where we've been really out of balance. I know I have been.
Yeah.
Even with the divine feminine, I feel like the divine feminine, when that's out of balance, that's its version. That's the dysfunctional female, right? And I don't mean from a gender point of view, but the female within us, like when that's out of balance. And so it's like processing that, and right, it's like it has been negative for me. Maybe just looking at that, saying, why does it have to be? And honestly, all that does is fuel the fire, right?
Oh,
it just
right.
keeps it, like, it makes it worse.
Right.
I'm already having a hard time, and then on top of it, I'm making it worse.
No, exactly. And it's like, and then this is good or bad, or this is good or bad. And to me, whether
I feel like it's coming at all angles, like,
Yeah, and like for me, it was really just noticing, like, I really like being optimistic. I really like being positive. I really like putting this really, I don't know, Pollyanna spin on it or this Disney spin. I mean, I really do enjoy that, not to take away from taking responsibility and accountability for who I am and what's going on inside and what choices I make, right? And yet I prefer to be optimistic and the freedom of just owning that. Like, yeah, this feels so much better. So all my needs are met. Everything is possible. It kind of puts this whole, like, I'm not fighting. I'm surrendering. I'm not fighting for anything. I have to compete for anything. I'm literally going to sit here and cultivate this very loving, positive thing to me, you know, in Louise Hay style. Like, I'm going to love life and I'm going to let life love me back.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel like we're talking about something. It's like if it's a coin, so your experience or whatever's happening is a coin, let's say. So it could be, you know, whatever, you're in the barn, right?
Stepping in the poop or smelling the poop.
Smelling the poop, you're in the barn, that's the coin. You're all experiencing this thing. But then we do have a choice whether we get to, it's like it doesn't change necessarily the physicality, but it changes we get control of what's happening within us. I think that's maybe what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so if you can control what's happening within you, because that is controllable or whatever. I mean, I don't like that word, but right?
Well,
because we can choose it
we have
one way or the
agency
other.
over. Exactly.
We have agency over it. Nice.
You know, we
I
have
like that. That's a good word. I've never heard it in a sentence. I am educated, but maybe not. I need to look. Where did I graduate?
okay, but like I love how you just like noticed that word and you had joy in it, right? Like it was funny to you, right? Like
but I was like, yeah, that fits perfectly. There's a word for that.
So we can have fun and be optimistic about that, or you know, like I mean, I just feel like that kind of highlights the point. But yes, we do have a choice in that, and it's not. We do need control to feel safe and to know that my security, my safety, my surrendering who I am feels the best choosing optimism, or I don't know what are the words we just said, you know, positivity. Yeah. Jinx.
Double Coke. I don't know, whatever you're supposed to say. Double Jinx, Coke, owe me a Coke, poke. What do we say?
I don't know. But I apparently owe you a Coke or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like
we'll
it.
See. Oh my gosh.
Jinx, owe me a car. I think that's what it is.
I'm sure it is.
Owe me $1,000.
Oh my God, that's so funny to me. I don't even know where I was. Oh, choice. Yes. So choice, right? And again, so like even in this moment, we can choose to have fun and bring in the laughter, and like we can bring this curiosity, this optimism, this joy. We're allowed to live in this world that everyone loves us and we love everything, right?
Yeah, and I do feel like it comes down to like freedom, really. And to allow ourselves to be free, we have to kind of reclaim all of our parts. And we're just in this space right now where we're repairing that because it's been so out of balance, and it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And it has been a little bit difficult, and I'm going to work on shifting my perspective of saying, all right, it's all right. And not adding to the negativity. I'm just bringing it back full circle, you know?
Yeah, I feel called to bring in, you know, we're gonna actually launch this class in a couple weeks.
Oh, right.
And I always forget the name of it now because you changed
Well,
the
I
name
changed the name.
So I forget.
Mastering the Quantum Realm. Shifting into the new paradigm.
And I love this class, and we've had it actually a couple times, but we're gonna actually record it.
Like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, we're gonna record it because we're actually gonna put it up as an option for people to just join in at any time. So you don't actually need to be a part of the online class that we're going to start in a couple weeks. You obviously can be. That starts those. I feel like that class is really helpful for a lot of these tools that we do bring through in the podcast, but you know, we make it really concrete and we give you homework and things like that. I want to highlight that. And then I also want to highlight our retreats. We have another one coming up in April, and that's just our weekend one. But then we have Tucson coming up for sure. And we're looking at kind of big plans next spring, winter for 25. And those are really awesome experiences to dive deep and again, gain more tools and more practice in doing all of this together. And that's really fun.
And profound, and honestly, it's life-changing. It really does impact people in an amazing way. So,
yeah, just plugging those things in because we love what we do. We absolutely love it. Even when we're hating it, we love it. It's
I'm working on that. But yes,
it's a strong word. Even when there are big feelings of frustration or, whatever that come up in our worlds, or we love what we
so
do.
all right. Well, we have one more week of February, and then we're off into March. So
Yes, I can't believe it partly.
yeah.
So thank you for listening, watching,
And
whatever your
we'll
platform.
see you guys next week. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to
Yeah,
see what you guys think. So
I love you.
till next time.